All rise. At this time, recognize our guest speaker, Senator Peter Welch. Thank you for coming. Podium is all yours.
Wow, that's great.
You may be seated.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. That's really nice to see you. How are you guys? It's so nice to be here. I wish the weather was better. I think we had 3 sunny days in May, and now we're into June, so I don't know. You got to do something about that.
We're working.
But I'm really happy to be here. And I just want to give a bit of a report from Washington. But first, I want to express my gratitude to all that you have done, all that you've done with your service, but keeping your organization together and reminding each other of how you served our country. Remembering the folks who served and were injured or worse. And even more importantly, remind those of us who benefited by your service, and that's the vast majority of Americans, and myself very much among them, how much we're indebted to you for that. And I say that, I've always said it and I always believe it, but we're seeing it in our country, I think, something that I find a little disturbing. There's less of this sense of service. And what can you do for your neighbor? How can you help your country? How can you help your community? There's less of that than we need. We need more of it, not less of it. So yes, you're an organization that honors those service members who have served our country, but you're also an example for all of us as Americans that it's all within the capacity of each of us to find a way to be serving others. So thank you so much for that. The other point I want to make, this amazes me. We're in Washington now. There's a beautiful bill, as you've heard. And we're always struggling with having the resources we need to do the work that must be done. And I got to tell you, I'm very upset, because I thought we've won in the past, that I don't think the veteran program should be on the cutting block at all. We absolutely have to have a healthcare system for veterans that meets the obligation. Yeah, what I've always said is that the cost of the war, whatever that war is, has to include the cost of caring for the warrior. It has to. And of course, one of the terrible things that oftentimes has happened to folks who served us is they come home and what they served for can be forgotten. I grew up in the Vietnam generation, and I just remember how horrible it was that my classmates, I had high school classmates, I got a high lottery number, so I didn't get drafted, all right? But I had classmates who did, and I had classmates some of whom didn't come home, and I had classmates who came home and actually were kind of vilified by Americans, citizens, for them answering the call of duty. And there's just no place for that, because the folks who serve are responding to the call of the commander-in-chief. And one of the things so wonderful about our country is its civilian control of the military, and the folks who serve accept that obligation we have to serve. But it's not your call as to when or where or what the war is. That's a political decision made by the commander-in-chief. And the idea that our service members would be forgotten or even criticized, I felt that and was appalled by it during the Vietnam era. And I think that part has changed an awful lot, in significant part because of the contributions that you've made. But on the budget side, we have to continue to fight on this. Yeah, we can have tough budget times, but this is not a negotiable deal in terms of the health care for veterans, okay? It's not as though there was any option here. And we made a lot of progress, and I don't want to see us lose it. You know, the PACT Act, you know, we had a lot of members serving in Iraq and Afghanistan where they were billeted right close to the burn pits. And those burn pits were burning everything. And there was a lot of toxic residue from those burn pits, and a lot of our folks got cancer. And of course, it was a couple of the widows of some of our service members who led the charge to get Congress to pass the PACT Act. And you know, I was really delighted that President Biden signed that in the White House with some of our Vermonters present when that happened. And now we're continuing, Senator Sanders and I, to try to expand that, because we had some service members who were in other places like Kosovo where they were exposed to burn pits, and we want to make sure they get the benefit of the doubt if they get a cancer kind of related illness and they were situated in the vicinity of a burn pit, that they get the benefit of full VA health care. I mean, you know, what's the problem with that? That's the least we can do. I'm also sponsoring the DRIVE Act. You know, it's tough to get from here to your appointment a lot of times, and it's expensive, and it's pretty thin margins. People are struggling to pay the grocery bills and the electric bills by the end of the month, so we want to get fair reimbursement. So, and then the final thing I just want to say, you know, this big beautiful act, so called, and the DOJ cuts. You know, I don't want to get partisan here because that's not really my concern. My concern is you can't be firing veterans who are staffing government agencies, and of course the VA, where the reason you're doing it is you're going through the list of employees, and every third or fourth one you're sending them an email and you tell them they're not doing a good job and you're fired, even though that person had just gotten a really good positive performance review. So, you know, there's a part of this that's just not on the level. I mean, if I ask the question, who here is in favor of waste, fraud, and abuse? I don't know if there'd be anybody brave enough or foolish enough to raise their hand. All right, all of us are against that. But in order to figure out how you can do your job better, whether it's run the Pentagon or run the Department of Agriculture, run your family budget, you really have to first look at what you're doing, what you want to accomplish, where you're spending your money, what's working, what's not working, and then you can make a plan. You know, we'll cut back here, we might have to add a little bit there. That's how you do it. You look at the operation first. And all of us who care, for instance, about the Veterans Administration, I think we're always open to looking, hey, how can we provide better service? How can we do it better? What are the ways we can reorganize? So that's all fair and square, but what's not fair and square is to just take the meat axe across the program and the personnel and then tell people are fired and then claim that somehow has made the program more efficient. It's made it less efficient. So I'm upset about that because whatever challenges we have in this country about balance in our budget, about the debt, even about some of the political differences that we, all of us in a big country inevitably have, we should not be doing things that undercut the commitment that all of us have an obligation to maintain. And that commitment is to respecting the service of our veterans, what they've done for us, and what we owe them. I don't see this as optional, okay? I see this as the obligation of the citizens of this country who have benefited by the service members of this country and their families to meet our obligations. So I am going to continue doing that, and it's been such a pleasure for me over the years. We're getting to know each other a little bit. I've been around almost 20 years. And I see Sam Haskins back there. He gets sick of me a little bit, but you know, every once in a while you look at somebody and they've been around so long, you know, you just say, all right, let Peter in. You know, we'll see what he can do. But I am thrilled to be here. I am so grateful to you and the service you've provided and the inspiration you provide to me. It's really quite a joy for me also to work with Bernie Sanders, who, as you know, has been a great supporter of the veterans and for a period of time served as the chair of the Veterans Committee. So I am all in to make certain that whatever the turmoil is in D.C., and however contentious the politics are, we can never forget what is a universal obligation that the citizens of this country have to continue to meet the needs of those people who were there when we needed them. So thank you very much for your service and for allowing me to join you here today. Thank you. Thank you very much.
I think Bernie's here.
Or his representative is.
Oh, that's right.
That's his rep.
Yeah. I'm not sure what the name is. Mike didn't tell me. What's his name? Thomas from Congressman Balint's office. Oh.
We have a gentleman from Congressman Ballot's office. And your name, sir? It's
Thomas.
Thomas? Thomas. You know, have him speak. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. The Congresswoman would first like to thank you all for inviting her to be here tonight. Unlike the Senate, the House is voting until this evening, so she wasn't able to be here today. But sends her condolences for not being here. I think she would have much preferred to have been here with you all than to still be in D.C. at the moment. I don't have a lot to go over. Can't really beat what Senator Welch just said. But the Congresswoman wanted me to pass along that she is extraordinarily grateful to all of you for your service, not just the service that you gave, but the service that you continue to give in your roles at the VFW, helping veterans to navigate everything that you help them navigate and the difficulties that they face. The Congresswoman's father was in the Army, and similar to Senator Welch and what he expressed about, we need to make sure that we're taking care of the warfighter, not just when they're at war, but when they come home, and making sure that we are providing the funds, the services, and the staff that the VA needs and the other agencies that support veterans need. It's something that she is extremely concerned with and wants to make sure that she continues fighting every day in Congress for that, and she plans to do so. She recently sponsored legislation that will give every single veteran who was let go during the Doge firings, will reinstate them to their jobs if that legislation is to be passed. As I'm sure many of you know, veterans are the majority of the workforce in our federal government. And for you all to have done what you have done and to have given this country what you have given, to then take a job in our federal government, and for that job to have been taken away, not necessarily because you didn't do the job well or for any reason outside of just there was a number that we had to meet. The Congresswoman believes that the veterans at the very least should get your jobs back. So she was proud to co-sponsor that legislation, and we're hoping it's going to move through this Congress and will come out and head over to the Senate to be signed as well. But again, just deep gratitude from Congresswoman Balint. She wishes that she could be here, and thank you for putting on this event, and thank you for inviting her. I'll have some cards that I can pass out if anybody has issues that they need assistance from Congress with. That's part of my role for the Congresswoman, is working with the VA to help veterans and anything that they may come across in terms of issues there. So please feel free to talk to me. Thank you again. Have a good day.
Thank you. Yeah, when we were in D.C., we did have a chance to meet with Congresswoman Balint, and we had a great conversation. So thank you for speaking.
I just talked with the photographer, said we get right at 3. Oh, so 10 minutes. So stretch your legs, yeah, and do it.
All right, our next speaker will be here in about 10 or 11 minutes, so don't...
9 minutes.
9 minutes, please don't go too far. Appreciate that, thank you. At this time, I'd like everybody to rise and please welcome Senator Bernie Sanders to the podium.
Good, sir. You? I'm good.
Hello. Murray, come on.
Bernie, how are you, brother?
Good to see you. Ladies, how are you?
Hi there. Nice to meet you.
Please. Well, let me thank everyone for inviting me to be with you today. What I'd like to do, I'm going to chat for a few moments, and I think what I'm going to say is not going to surprise you. I'm sure that others will make the same points. And then what I would very much appreciate is just the opportunity, if we could, to open it up for discussion. Is that all right?
Sure,
Is that good?
yep.
So I'll ask you questions, you ask me. And all I would like is just tell me the country is in, how shall we? All right, that's one way of putting it. Let's say it's in transition and a bit of chaos in DC. And I want people's honest opinion. I know that not everybody agrees with me on everything, and that's called democracy. And by the way, I think everybody remembers today is June 6th, and we remember what happened in 1944 and the unbelievable, unbelievable courage of people who got off those boats facing machine guns. And, you know, the result of that is the liberation of Europe and the preservation of democracy. And that's a day, I think, that we will never forget. What's going on, and I speak to you, by the way, as the former chair of the Senate Veterans Committee, which was, to me, a real honor, something I enjoyed very much, and had the opportunity to meet veterans not only throughout Vermont, but throughout the whole country. And it was a very moving and important part of my congressional history. In my view, what we're seeing right now in Washington is not just an attack on the VA, it's an attack on Social Security, an attack on Medicare, an attack on Medicaid, an attack on the Postal Service. We're dealing with folks who essentially do not believe that government should play an important role in protecting the American people. Our friend Mr. Musk came into Washington as the wealthiest guy in the world, and with really, and I've talked to a whole lot of federal employees, including people at the VA, with really no particular rhyme or reason, using, if you like, a chainsaw, just started making devastating cuts all across the board. And they have proposed, they eliminated a number of jobs at the VA already. And what is even more frightening, as I'm sure you have been discussing, and I want to thank the VFW for the work you are doing. I have had the opportunity of talking to the leadership, your national leadership of VFW, talk to the American Legion, the DAV, Vietnam vets, etc. And it is enormously important that we work together to prevent these type of cuts, and I think the VFW understands that. In my view, and I want to open this for discussion as I go around the state and talk to veterans, generally speaking, given all of the problems we have in our overall healthcare system, I think the veterans who utilize the VA at White River or the CBOCs around the state think that the VA is doing a pretty good job. And I think they are especially appreciative of the staff, many of whom are veterans themselves or have families who are veterans, who understand that it's not just a job, it's kind of a mission, that they love and appreciate the veterans and they do their best. In any case, what Musk and his friends proposed was to eliminate 83,000 jobs at the VA. And they argue that, well, you know, we're not going to hurt the quality of care. This is all waste and inefficiency and bureaucracy. Well, the VA is bureaucratic, no question about it. But just helter-skelter, eliminating 83,000 jobs, nobody denies is going to impact the quality of health care that veterans receive. So, you know, we are in touch with Secretary Collins, who is the new Secretary of the VA, and we're going to do our best to prevent those cuts. But it's not just the VA. They're going after Social Security, making it harder for people to get the benefits that they deserve. And to my mind, and not everybody agrees with me, you have people like Musk saying we should privatize wherever we can privatize. Well, at the top of that list would be the VA. Why is that? Now, help me out here. If I were Mr. Musk, why would I want to privatize the VA?
You can make money off of it.
Good. Got some smart people here. That's the women. I don't know about the guys, but that's right. Right. Does anyone think the VA is a perfect institution? No, it's not. But its mission is to provide quality care to all veterans. Its mission, that's right. And you know, in states like Vermont, we do a good job. Some places they don't. But that is the ultimate mission. And these guys have a problem that corporations are not running it, because there's you got a lot of people using the VA. You can make a lot of money off of that. And what they will do is, in some ways, here is a check for you, which, by the way, will not go up in years, and good luck, go out and find a private doctor. Yeah. Well, I try to find a dermatologist. It took me 3 months. I live in Burlington. It took me 3 months to find a dermatologist, to get an appointment, all right? And the VA does a lot better than that. So I think long-term with these guys, and the second thing is, they do not like an institution like the VA, which is nonprofit, which goal is to provide quality care to all people. That runs in contrast to what they kind of believe, which is you monetize everything. There's nothing out there that you don't try to make money off of. That is their goal. And that is not what the VA is about. Let me tell you what we are trying to do. In Vermont, over the years, we have expanded the number of CBOCs to Newport and Brattleboro. We are on now the list. I'll tell you a problem we're having. We're on a list to do 2 new CBOCs. Burlington is outgrowing its space, and we're on the list to get a state-of-the-art CBOC here in Burlington. Down in the southern part of the state, the CBOC would probably be in maybe the Keene area on the other side of the Connecticut River, not in Brattleboro. But it would, again, be bigger, state-of-the-art, and offer more services. We're on the list, which is a big deal. Problem is, it takes these guys forever to do anything. So we are pushing them. I don't usually get angry at federal employees. It's not my style. But I did get angry at some of these guys in terms of how long it was taking them to get their act together for these things. And we're also, I think, making some progress in healthcare, improving what's going on in White River Junction. I think all of you are aware that the PACT Act has had a significant, that's a real step forward. Men and women in the armed forces were exposed to a lot of toxicity, burning pits, etc. Took a long, long time, but we, I think, have made real progress in getting those folks the benefits and the health care that they are certainly entitled to. So that's about it for me. We're trying primarily now to stop these cuts because, in fact, what the VA needs are more doctors, more nurses, more staff, not less. And we're trying to expand healthcare here in the state of Vermont. I want to thank everybody here for their service to our country, your heroism, your sacrifice, and I look forward to working with you. But I would also like now for you to ask me questions and make comments. Anything that's on your mind, please do not be shy. You don't have to agree with me on anything or everything. Just tell me what you're thinking. All right, thank you very much. All right, what's on your mind? Who's the brave? There we go.
Hi, my name is Lenore Travis.
I can't, first,
My name is Lenore Travis.
Lenore?
And I'm president of Post 782 Auxiliary. And I've been working with a friend of mine, Roger, if you would stand up. I never remember Roger's last name. But he and I have been on CCTV. We have been trying to save the memorial plaques at the Memorial Building on Main Street that have been entombed, so to speak, since I got here. I became a resident of Vermont 10 years ago. And when I realized what that building was and the memories that it had in there of our heroes, it disturbed me that one, it was closed up when it was a building that was so much.
We're talking about the Memorial Auditorium here.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And so we have gone on because we've been asking for help to see if we can.
All right, you've got help. I'm going to help. It's funny that you mentioned that. As you all know, I was mayor of Burlington.
Yes, these are our heroes, and they deserve the dignity and respect that they once had when that building was open for people to know that they were there, and they deserve more.
And I remember, kind of like it was yesterday, I can't remember yesterday, but I do remember back then. We did an event, I can't remember how many, more than a few. Young men from Burlington died in Vietnam. And we did an event, I don't know if anybody was there or remembers that, where we put up a plaque for, that had not been done up to then, for those who died in Vietnam. And it was very touching, I remember that, and I think many of the parents were appreciative that we remembered their sons. All right, we will get on the phone with the mayor. No problem, we will get on the phone, that's a promise. The results we will see, but we will do that, okay? Because you're absolutely right. Now, what would you like to do? I don't know what the future of that building is. You'd like to get those plaques out of there and put them someplace else, I assume?
Yes, we'd like to have them put someplace, and you probably know they probably need to be cleaned or restored.
Right, maybe in City Hall or someplace, I don't know.
Someplace where they can be recognized
Good.
and have the dignity that they once
Good,
had.
I think that's absolutely right.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. All right, you got your senator here. Tell me what you think on anything. Yeah. Yes.
Senator,
Jack, how are you?
what about Major Richard Star Act that we've been working on for years and years and years?
All right, help me out.
I'll ask you, Christina, to speak up on this.
Okay, tell me about the STAR.
So Major Richard Star Act is a concurrent receipt piece of legislation. So it's to enable Chapter 60 61 combat disabled veterans to be able to receive their vested retirement and their VA disability without any offset.
Okay, the offset issue, okay, good. Okay, I don't know if we're on that, but it sounds, Katie?
I mean,
Stand up, stand up.
hi everybody. So this is one of the issues that the Veterans Affairs Committee, Senator sits on, is working on. Progress is, we were working on this when Senator was chairman. This is one that not everybody wants to put the money into doing, but we're certainly fighting for it. We're hoping that it can move bipartisanly. That's what we need right now. So maybe you have.
So we are a co-sponsor of that, I assume?
That's my understanding.
Yeah, I'll just add, almost every single member of Congress has been and continues to be a co-sponsor of this legislation. So the VFW is asking that we try to get leadership to bring it to the floor, even for a UC vote, just to see where we're at.
Good.
If everyone
like it.
supports it, we want to see where
Okay.
we're at.
Well, in the Congress, everybody is always in favor of everything until it comes to a vote. That's true. All right, thank you. Katie, make sure? Okay. Okay, what else we got? Come on, there must be more on your minds. Up here, ladies, what do you got? All right, you tell me, what's going on in Washington now? Good, bad?
Senator Sanders.
Yeah,
Roland Bigelow.
Roland.
So you say that the VA needs more nurses, doctors, specialties. Why is it that they want to work in the civilian world rather than in the VA system? Is it because we don't provide the amount of pay?
Yeah, that's one of the reasons.
That they're looking for?
Yeah, that's one of the reasons. But on the other hand, I got to tell you, there is all right, if I say this, Roland, I'm going to get to your question in a second, but let me ask you this. If I were to say to you that the American healthcare system in general is broken, am I right or wrong?
Yeah.
Okay. So here is the story, and I answer your question, Roland. Right now, you'll all be happy to know that we as a nation spend twice as much per capita on healthcare as the people of any other nation. Got it? We're spending, can you believe this? We're spending $14,500 per person, every man, woman, and child, on healthcare. So that's what you pay out of your pocket, that's what your employer provides you, that is the VA, that is Medicare, that is Medicaid. Add it all together, $14,500 per person, and yet 85 million Americans are uninsured or underinsured with high deductibles and copayments. And then, despite all that spending, we don't have enough doctors, massive doctor shortage, especially in primary health care. We have a massive nursing shortage. You want to hear an astounding fact? Here's an astounding fact. A few years ago, during COVID, the hospital up here, UVM Medical Hospital, spent $125 million on traveling nurses. You all know what a traveling nurse is? Yes. They don't have enough nurses, so they had to go out and pay nurses 2 or 3 times what a local nurse would make. $125 million in 1 year. That's just one hospital. Not to mention nursing homes, not to mention other hospitals in Vermont. The number has gone down. What's the latest, we think, Katie? 75 million. Now, you want to hear crazy? Here's crazy. Why don't we have enough nurses in the state of Vermont? No, nurses earn decent salaries. You know why? We're not educating. If you wanted to become a nurse, you want to go to a nursing school, they say, well, thank you very much. We can't put you into school now. We don't have enough educators. Nurse educators, people with master's degree or PhDs. Why don't we have enough educators? Because we're paying them half as much as you pay a nurse supervisor in a hospital. You following what I'm saying? Yeah. So I've talked to nurses here at the school right here at UVM who have taken literally a 50% cut in their salary, 50%, in order to teach young people how to become nurses. So to answer your question, the VA does not pay enough, but that's only part of the problem. As a nation, we don't have enough nurses, we don't have enough doctors, we don't have enough mental health counselors, we don't have enough pharmacists. We got problems. So it's an issue. I was chairman of another committee dealing with health, and we're trying to deal with that. Okay, what else you got?
I've got a question.
Yeah.
My husband died from the PACT Act and, or from the complications of the toxic burn pits. There's still active burn pits.
There's still what?
There's still active burn pits. When is the government gonna shut the burn pits down? Stop the burn pits?
Okay. Good question. I will look into it and we'll get back to you. But you're right, you know, what we have learned, God, I remember this one because one of the problems of being old, you remember things from way back when, and that's good and that's bad. But I remember, I don't know how many of you remember, the struggles over Agent Orange. Do you remember that? Yeah. And I can't remember which was VFW, whoever it was, had to literally sue the government. Do you remember that? Anyone remember that? Literally had to sue the United States government in order to take action on it, because Monsanto, whoever it was producing this stuff, was denying that it caused problems. But what we have learned from that and toxic burn pits is this stuff is lethal. You get exposed to it all of the time, you're gonna get sick, you're gonna die, and we should not have them. So I think we have learned something, but we will check into the status of current burn pits. All right, what else is on people's mind? Everybody happy with what's going on in DC? All right, be specific. Let's go. Tell me what's on your mind. What do you like, what you don't like? Again, you're not going to offend me. If you disagree with me, you know where I come from. My problem is everybody knows my views. I'm not running away from them. But we live in a country where we can disagree. If you disagree, that's okay. Tell me what you think, guys. Sam Haskins. All right. Sam, I'll fire you again. Fired you last time? No, I didn't. Sam did a great job for us.
And I appreciate you fighting. I know there's a lot of problems in DC with funding and all that. However, many in the past, the VA has, like, the Mission Act. Then Obama had, I forget what his. Obamacare. No, not Obamacare. It was for the VA. Choice. Not, Veterans Choice. And that where they could go out.
Right.
Outside to the.
Yep.
In public, okay?
Right.
However, they took the money out of the VA and never replaced it. So my thinking is when you vote on something or get something passed, you've got to have the funding with it.
Okay. Sam, I know that issue well. And here's the look. We had to fight very hard on that legislation. And again, you'll forgive me, I don't mean to be political, but this is just the simple truth. In fact, I had to deal with John McCain, the late John McCain, who was a friend of mine, and I liked very much. But John and I disagreed on this. The Republican point of view, more or less, is let's get veterans into private care, okay? So the argument was, here was the argument, which made sense. It said, all right, you're living in a rural area, and you're 200 miles away from a CBOC or a VA facility, right? Should you be able to go to the doctor in your own community? The answer is yes, right? You need to check. What's wrong with that? But then you can expand upon that concept and tell veterans that the option, they would prefer you to go to the private sector rather than into the VA. That's the problem with that. And that's the struggle that we had. On that particular bill, Sam, we got, this is way back when, we got $5 billion more for the VA. That was the trade-off. Got $5 billion to go right into the VA for more doctors and nurses. But that's the struggle that we're having right now. But your point is well taken. Other issue, and by the way, we don't have to limit this discussion just to veterans issues. If there's anything else on your mind, fire away. Yeah.